first of all, we're not only inside because it's January, we're inside because you don't really have a field right now. So talk about how the new surface came about and how you think that's really going to impact your program.
I'm happy to be inside while the turf is being put in and laid and built on our field. And it came about through, I think, through the Astros' success this past year in the postseason and the generosity of Mr. Jim Crane and the work continuously of Jerry Hughes and Dr. Ambrose. I think those two guys, along with Jim and him being so kind and gracious, has allowed for the project to happen. And in terms of the necessity of it, the reality is that we do live in the Midwest and we play a warm weather sport in the winter, so to speak, in February and March. And days like today that we're in official practice time, that without turf, the ability to practice wouldn't be there. So I'm excited for the field to be done. It means that we get an opportunity to practice, prepare in all weather conditions, rain, sleet, snow, cold. You don't have to worry about the ground thawing, on a nice day and getting wetted out, so to speak. So it's extremely exciting. I look forward to it, and it allows us to develop our players to the best of our ability, to the best of their ability, and allows us to recruit top-notch players coming in, knowing that the school's made an investment in the program.
You'd been with Mules baseball, obviously, as an assistant, but last year, your first year as head coach, what are some things you learned in that year?
When your name's on it, it's a different thing. The identity and the ownership that you take as a head coach is, as much as I'd like to say that I knew it going into it as an assistant, and I feel like I had as much ownership in it as ever as an assistant. It's more so as a head coach, and there was a transition for sure. I don't know that there was anything brand new that I came across. I know that the responsibilities here are great in terms of what the expectations are. I knew the team already very well, knew the administration already very well, know what it takes in terms of paperwork and all those things. The learning was about how the transition would be to make it my own.
Like you said, there is pressure here to perform at specifically the baseball sport. So what you did last year, though, would have been fine for a lot of programs, was not what you want out of Mules baseball, let alone anyone else. So what have you been doing to kind of get back to that we're just going to dominate everyone thing?
Yeah, I don't think we're doing anything too differently. Obviously some players left the program due to graduation, and we brought in players that we felt like were going to help us win. And last year, was what it was, and it's certainly not as good as we hoped it to be, but ultimately there's nothing that we would do different for this year other than trying to get the best out of our players. Using last year as a learning experience, and I don't think anybody that's successful, hasn't had that experience moving forward, and now it's our job to use it and make the best of what we have, because we have a lot of guys returning, we have a lot of ability returning. In my opinion, that experience last year for all of us is going to make us better and help drive us to what we want to do this year. So not a whole lot different, I don't think. I believe that there was probably, the pressure is everywhere. You want to be the best that you can be, regardless of whether you're Central Missouri or no-name state somewhere that nobody knows about.
Who do you have coming back you expect to make an impact? Some new guys you brought in maybe that you're really counting on, things like that?
We returned quite a bit. So on the mound, we got Carlos DeArmas is back, Tyler House is back, Lucas Williams is back, Grant Gavin is back. In terms of incoming, Ethan Westfall is going to make a major impact on the team in terms of the mound and his presence on the mound. Positionally, again, we returned quite a bit. Jake Alexander, Derek Cornell, Dylan Hanson, Dusty Moss, Brad Jelinek, Jackson Snurbush, Miles Orschelin, Colton Hillbrenner, all guys that saw a lot of time last year. Incoming in terms of positionally, Matt Elliott's going to make a big impact. They'll probably come in and play center field for us as Trevor Jones, walked out the door to graduation last year. I think the names, there's a lot of familiar names. And, as I said, Ethan and Matt are probably the most notable guys coming in to be able to help. Matt Safranik's another one that I think will come in and fill the void of what Tony Sandifer was last year offensively and defensively. I think everybody coming back becomes more of an impact player than they were last year. And that's a lot of guys that were impactful last year, and then the 3 or 4 guys that we have that are new that we expect to play a lot, we understand and are very familiar with what needs to happen here with their experience in junior college, and are prepared to help right away.
Kind of wrapping it up would be some goals for this year, things you want to accomplish.
Again, I think we all know what the goals of this program is, and for myself personally, and I think for this team personally, we feel pretty good about the fact that if we achieve what we are capable of, then all those goals will take care of themselves in terms of wins, losses, conference tournament titles, regional titles, so on and so forth. So if we're able to maximize our ability to play the best baseball that this team is capable of playing, that's our goal, because that will help us get to all those other numbers that I think everybody else wants to get to.